Hello. There is news that the government of Katsina State has finally owned up to being a party to a series of negotiations involving the release of hostages and a more comprehensive attempt to see if communities can be secured through dialogue and some kind of settlement with bandits and other people who kill and terrorize them. Now, as we're all aware, this is a very touchy and a very sensitive issue, and it has been on the table for Nigerians for a long time. The truth about it is that many states have entered into local communities, local governments, states have entered into some form of discussions and negotiations with bandits because it appeared to be the only option. The military hadn't been able to put an end to this banditry. Non-military people, police, NSAK, vigilantes, all these people are there on the ground. And yet what we see is the continuous escalation of kidnappings and rustling and killings. States so far have resisted the temptation to say we're part of this. But we all know that they have been. Even the federal government has been involved in some kind of negotiation for the release of victims, and we know this. I raise this issue today because I think it is very important to have an understanding of why a negotiation with bandits is very dangerous, but if handled well, can be productive. First of all, if force alone, what is now becoming popular as the kinetic approach, could put an end to this insurgency, the banditry, the killings, this thing would have been history a long time ago. It hasn't. Even the military themselves have hinted at the value of non-kinetic approach, meaning sitting down with the people who are involved in this, or finding ways in which this kind of killings will be brought to a halt by either direct negotiation with those who are involved in it, or by some kind of mediation that involves them in a substantive manner. Now, my view is that it is time for the nation to adopt a more holistic, a more comprehensive assessment of the value of non-kinetic approach in addition to the kinetic approach that we currently employ. The communities that live under these bandits, with these bandits, at the mercy of these bandits, know that the state alone has not been able to protect them and will not protect them in the near future. This is the reason why they submit to these temptations to enter into negotiations with the bandits. The bandits also know that our fighting forces, all the assets that we have to secure the people, haven't worked. If they had worked, we wouldn't have a single bandit roaming around and killing people and kidnapping people. So it is time to have an honest and comprehensive and sincere discussion. Should we find a way in which we can identify the values of non-kinetic approach as opposed to just purely the kinetic approach? What should we do in the event that these piecemeal approaches, in one state you enter having a negotiation with bandits, they say, yes, okay, we'll release your people, you release our people, these are the conditions under which we will coexist, we go to our farms, we go to the market, you go to your farms. But basically the bandit sets the rules. And then they break these rules. Or they keep peace where they've signed and they have agreed to a peace agreement, and they move to another place where they don't have such agreement. And this is basically what has happened. The North is just one entire borderless territory. You can have an agreement with the bandit in Katsina, and then he moves to a region of Kano, and that we see that going on. You can have an understanding with the community in local government A, and then that bandit moves to local government B, where he doesn't have an understanding. Sometimes you have rogue elements within the bandits too. Agreement or no agreement, they will do what they want because they have a power over the communities that are not well protected. In any case, it is important, one, to stop treating the suggestions and recommendations that we enhance the non-kinetic approach because it has its uses. Two, it is important to have a national understanding of what we need to do in order to enhance it as a credible option to you deploying only kinetic energy. Three, governors and the federal government need to sit down and have an honest discussion. There is a massive shortfall in the manner in which we are protecting rural communities. What should we do? Who should do it? And when should we do it? The when is particularly important for me because the truth about it is that our rural population is hard pressed. There is no point in continuing to argue that to speak to a bandit, to negotiate with a bandit, or to engage in anything other than chasing them around with guns that we don't have in numbers, men that we don't have in numbers, and insistence that they can be defeated when we haven't defeated them for the last 7, 8, 10 years will work. It's time for the country to look at all the options it has and support it with the willpower that is necessary to bring success.
New Year bloodshed in Niger State, 42 killed in deadly terror attacks. New Year bloodshed in Niger State, 42 killed in deadly terror attacks. Trump stokes confusion in Venezuela. Maduro faces arraignment as global outrage grows. Industry chiefs, economists warn major tests for economy in 2026. That's on page 21. Dr. Dehu, let's start from Niger State. Vanguard says 42. Punch yesterday said 30. The Catholic Archdiocese of Kontagora says 40. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
You see, this has become our lived reality. I've always warned, I've always lamented. What I've not done is to cry and to say, look, you do not negotiate with terrorists on home soil. It emboldens them, it enriches them, and it makes them expand their terror network. They will do it over and over again because to them, you are weak, and they want to take advantage of that weakness. We have lamented, but nobody seems to be listening. And it is quite frustrating, really. Because how many more Nigerians will have to be abducted or killed before the government will wake up to its responsibilities? One would have expected that since Nigeria State has become a new Zamfara in the enterprise, in the criminal enterprise of banditry, that more proactive measures would have been put in place to prevent thunder from striking twice at the same spot. But this abduction, this incident is taking place around the same vicinity that the last one took place. Meaning the government's approach is not working. I've always said that the only way we can defeat these guys is the full weight of the might of the state and nothing else. Because the danger is that beyond Niger State, these guys are moving south with an enormous force that might overwhelm the entire country. And with time, they will begin to aim for the control of the state, its resources, its land, and its people. It has happened in so many other countries. Sudan is a living example. Many people might not know this. The RSF you see in Sudan today that is battling the military regime of that country led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan was actually a former bandit terrorist group known as the Janjaweed that carried out genocidal attacks on the sedentary communities in Western Darfur. So essentially what you have in Sudan today is former bandits, former terrorists, murderers that were somehow supported by the state and rehabilitated by the state, now seeking to take control of the Sudanese state, its oil resources and its gold resources. That is the battle you see happening in Sudan. So what this government that these people cannot become so enamored with weaponry that they cannot attempt to go for the state itself, beyond abducting human beings and collecting ransom. Because the time will come, this money you are paying as ransom through negotiations will become petty to them. We have given solutions. Beyond that, we give solutions all the time. We say, look, we have understudied banditry, which we now call terrorism. You see, banditry is clearly different from ISWAP or other Boko Haram groups. Banditry has the sole aim of money, nothing more than that. They have no ideological leanings. They have nothing at all to it. It's just money. And that is because banditry in Nigeria has become a very low risk enterprise, criminal enterprise that yields very high profits. I mean, imagine bandits being spoken to by the government of the country. So it tells you how prestigious this low risk and highly profitable criminal enterprise will become. When was the last time the government spoke to you and I over an issue? And so we are saying this emboldens them. This makes them to think that they are holding the longer stick, with leaving the government holding the shorter end of the stick. So there's something that has to be done about this. I don't think that can be done in full force. The state must attach itself. I will give you solutions. To say, yes, you don't have enough boots on the ground. Please allow the local population some level of limited armament program that can enable self-defense. These people are said to have been wreaking havoc in the past 1 or 2 weeks without any resistance. Without any resistance. That's why it's a low-risk business. They often do not face resistance in rural communities where we have absolute zero presence of government security forces. Why wouldn't they reign supreme? Why wouldn't they continue the enterprise? Why would they? I mean, they should get a call, for example, from Abuja, and they negotiate. And they release these people in batches. And they go on to the next target and do the same thing. Over and over and over and over. And every Monday, you and I will be analyzing every episode of abductions or mass killing by bandits and terrorists.
Dahiru, some government insiders, government officials have said that these suggesting that these individuals, these terrorists who killed 40 plus people in Kasuwan Daji in Borgo local government area of Niger State on Saturday evening were terrorists fleeing from Sokoto from Donald Trump's bombs. And passing
from one single bomb that Donald Trump threw on Christmas Eve, one bomb. So it is still that same bomb that is possible from Sokoto. I think we're beginning to make a myth out of this bombing. I think the Nigerian state, honestly, and are very unstable set of people. We are beginning to make so much issue out of this bombing. So if Donald Trump bombs somebody in Sokoto, you, the Nigerian government, couldn't protect those that may like protect your own citizens. That may likely come under attack of so-called fleeing terrorists. You couldn't make provisions to protect your own citizens. So Donald Trump will come to Nigeria, bomb a major terrorist site, and are happy to put troops on the ground to protect communities along the corridor of movement of bandits. Kofi, for God's sake.
But you know,
this sounds serious.
Yeah, so I want to read a statement from the presidency, put out by Mr. Bayo Nanuga, my Oga, yesterday, special advisor to the president on information and strategy. He says here, President Tinubu. Okay, the title is President Tinubu orders military, police, DSS to hunt down terrorists behind Kasuwan Daji attack. It says the president has directed the Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff, the service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the DSS, to track down and apprehend the perpetrators of Kasuwan Daji attack, ensuring they are swiftly brought to justice. Now, this is where I'm going to. It says the president issued directives on Sunday in response to the recent killings of villagers in Niger State by terrorists suspected to be fleeing from Sokoto and Zamfara following the United States airstrike on Christmas Eve. But sir, this is where I'm going. I want you to comment on this. The next couple of days, the defense headquarters came out to say that they are watching, monitoring, and tracking the fleeing terrorists in response to media inquiries and growing public concern that the normal logical thing in any sane society would be, once you have air strikes, there's a ground operation to mop up, and make sure that those guys are taken out. What they said was that they are tracking, watching, monitoring these guys, and at the right time they're going to take them out. So the same government is now telling us that the people they are tracking, monitoring, watching are the ones who have gone to kill 42 people in Niger State. So can you please, Dr. Majid Dahiru, help us make sense of this?
It's a tragic comedy. It's because I'm mourning people that have been killed, so it's a tragedy that has taken place. But this comic relief from the presidency now makes it like a tragic comedy of some sort. You see, when other governments release statements all over the world, when you see government statements, you can feel the authority of government even in the letters of the words. Even the way the words are laid out, the way it is crafted, you know that this is the government speaking. But in our own case, I do not know what is holding us back from fighting bandits, terrorists, and all forms of non-state actors that have taken up arms to inflict harm on the Nigerian people and the Nigerian state. I do not know what it is.